Today, a team from the Singapore's Manpower Ministry is bringing me on a surprise inspection.
These are generally the unsafe conditions that are commonly found in construction site.
So how often do you and your team go on these surprise inspections?
Typically 1 to 2 sites per day. Compared to last year, we have stepped up the number of inspections by 35%.
How do you go about choosing which sites to go to?
So construction, as you will know, they account for about 1/3 of the fatalities thus far this year. So we do more regular inspections on this sector.
Inspections have been ramped up because of a surge in workplace fatalities. Fatalities in the first half of the year spiked by 65% compared to the same period before the pandemic hit.
So in this episode, I want to find out just what is driving this recent spate in workplace fatalities and what it will take to bring those numbers down. Sebastian, so what's the situation right now?
We are going to commence the inspection. There are currently a couple of subcontractors on site, some of them doing form works, some of them doing piping works.
All right, let's do it. So have we found a breach already?
Oh yes, as you can see, the storage of materials right over here, they are not stored in a safe and orderly manner. And most importantly, they are stored near to the edge of the opening, which could result in material slipping through and hitting onto the person that may be positioned at the level below.
So this is already a major breach?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we've barely started.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to continue the inspection to the next floor.
Just be careful over here.
I'm already looking at this structure and I feel quite nauseous. I'm not quite sure how stable this whole thing is.
So if you look at this vertical block over here, it's actually a common practice on site where they will compensate between the level in difference. We will usually need to verify against the professional engineer design to see whether it's being endorsed as part of the design.
And what happens if they're not?
When they are doing concreting or casting time, it could put on pressure to the formwork structure and it could result in a collapse of formwork. Yeah,
You mean the whole thing could collapse?
Yes.
Wow.
And just as I thought, it couldn't get any worse.
One of my inspectors has actually came down and then informed that upstairs is really unsafe right now because of the open site.
So for workers working right at the top, at what height would they be?
There will be 8 meters in total. They do have barricade provided, but they are too low. It's ineffective.
At another block,
Careful,
The protruding nails.
As you can see the yellow bucket right over there, these are evidence that workers are obviously working at this level. We don't see any fall preventive measures like the lifeline where the workers are supposed to anchor their body harness onto while working at height, and the risk of fall of more than 2 meters is present.
It's almost like these workers have to do a tightrope
Yes,
sequence to
true,
actually
true.
be able to work.
Yep.
So Sebastian, what's the outcome of that deliberation?
We will be issuing a full stop work order on this site. And we require the company to rectify all the shortcomings before we allow them to commence operations. Typically, stop work order can last between a month to 6 weeks.
There is the safety supervisor here, so I'm going to see if he's willing to talk. Is that okay? There were quite a few safety breaches. ऐसा treatment क्यों हो रहा है?
क्या बोलूँ? मैंने बोलता हूँ हाँ मॉर्निंग टाइम मीटिंग में बोलता हूँ कि सेफ्टी पहनो बट आपको अंडरस्टैंड है कि चैनलमैन कोई समझती नहीं समटाइम फॉलो बट टुडे यूज सीरियसली
And some of them, especially like not having barricades, things like that, why did that happen?
no आप all okay but sometimes barricade open forget this is something river take something lubricant coming river up this way
वो बैरिकेड जो होते हैं वो बीच में आ जाते हैं क्या?
हाँ बीच में आ जाए
After that experience, I am genuinely just shocked. Because when I first turned up for this surprise inspection, I expected maybe 1 or 2 breaches, and minor breaches at that. But to see a whole site littered with breaches and major breaches, such that they had to issue a stop work order, just no words for that.
I was told that the lapses found today were quite common, but to have them all found on one construction site, that's pretty rare. In this instance, the safety supervisor claims that safety rules are flouted because some workers do not follow instructions. But if their lives are at stake, why wouldn't they?
The management cannot every time wash their hand and then push all the blames to the workers all the time.
It's Sunday, a rest day for most migrant workers in Singapore.
Can I get one mutton biryani?
I've arranged a meal with a group of them. 2 are speaking to me on condition of anonymity to avoid being identified by their employers. All 3 have more than a decade of working experience here.
So what do you think are the leading causes for the recent spate in workplace fatalities?
During the pandemic, the construction site was shut down for 5 to 6 months. The manpower being reduced and is thousands of people, like workers being sent back, and some of them, they go by themselves.
Last time, the same project, I have 15 workers. Now I only have 10 workers.
So after the pandemic, what happens? You have extra time for 6 months. You cannot even make it. Even 1 year, you cannot make it. You have less manpower and you need more progress. Main con chasing the subcon want to do the first.
Example, if we pulling cable or whatever, installation, PowerPoint, 1 unit, 6 days, 7 days. Now rushing day, my management puts me 2 days must finish. The safety supervisor come to scold me also. Hey, your worker never follow the safety. I issue fine. You want to follow safety, your management want to next week finish. How do I finish?
Everyone is getting tired because they're more overtime, they're more working.
How are working hours now different from before the pandemic?
Before the COVID, usually it's around 10 to 12 hours max. But after the COVID, it's 13, 14 to 15 hours even some companies.
In September, non-profit organization TWC2 or Transient Workers Count 2 surveyed almost 700 migrant workers. The results show that on a given Friday, almost 1 in 4 workers in the construction sector work more than 12 hours. This is illegal, even if workers get overtime compensation, unless companies seek exemption for urgent duties in public interest.
But according to employment law, workers are not allowed to work more than 12 hours a day. Are you aware of that?
Some people are aware of it and some people don't, but it doesn't really matter.
Why we want to work more? Because our basic salary is very low, like on average $18 to $25
For the whole day?
for the whole day.
So how much is overtime?
Overtime is usually 1.5 times comparing from the basic salary. One more important thing is not having enough safety professionals on site. Some company deploy safety supervisors but force them to do double role. So here is a conflict of interest because safety supervisor, his role is to ensure the safety. So he will actually chase everybody to do the work safely. On the other hand, if the progress supervisor, his company will, end of the day, will ask him how much work area you have completed, but they will not ask how safe it was.
So how can you measure progress and safety at the same
you
time?
cannot.
When you face these unsafe conditions, are there avenues for you to report these issues?
Seldom workers dare to report
And why is that?
because they report to M1, maybe the company not happy about him, and the company have all the right to terminate them.
Contractors tend to push workers to meet project completion deadlines, because delays mean late penalty fees. And for some, that could cost tens of thousands of dollars for every day a project is delayed. Cost pressures and deadlines, competing with safety. It's no surprise lapses occur. And when they do, this matters.
Help me! Someone help me, please!
Safety training.
Don't worry, Shrey, we're coming to get you. We'll need to lift and lower. Lift.
I'm playing victim at a one-day course that trains workers to rescue a co-worker who has fallen from height.
You all right? Yeah.
This is usually the top cause of workplace deaths.
Gonna secure his back up. Very good. Releasing. You ready? Look. Ready, lower. Okay, let's go. Medic, stand by. Wait, help is on the way, yeah? Call the ambulance. First aid kit ready. AED ready. 1, 2, 3, yeah. Step higher. Okay. Send you to the medevac point.
When I first saw that height, I thought it would be okay, but once I was up there, all I could think about was that my life was in this tiny buckle, this tiny safety harness. And I can't imagine what it would be like if I was at a much higher height as a worker in actual conditions, in an actual emergency, and there were no safety professionals. That would be terrifying.
Which is why this training, which teaches workers how to lower and lift a suspended casualty, can potentially save lives. But at a cost of 300 Singapore dollars per trainee for the basic course and 420 Singapore dollars for the advanced course, less than 200 workers sign up in a year.
So what was the gap in the industry that led Esritech to create such a course?
We have seen cases whereby workers fall from height, but there is no adequate emergency rescue at worksite. In some overseas countries, they have legal requirement for the time period that rescue must be rendered, which is about 15 minutes. Beyond that, I think even if the worker is rescued, he might suffer serious injury.
So why don't companies do more trainings like this?
If you see the behavior of employer in Singapore, if there is no mandatory requirement, chances is that they will not send workers for training.
There is one mandatory safety orientation course that all foreign construction workers will have to go through before they are deployed on site, where they are trained on basics like how to put on a harness and how to climb up a structure safely. But workers are not taught how to rescue someone who has fallen from height.
Training is important, but training is not the all and end all solution. If my employer don't provide me with a good anchor point, even if I put on my harness properly, I will fall together with the harness. We need to have people with the right mindset and also a good safety culture.
Well, it's not all gloom and doom, because a handful of companies in Singapore have been looking into reducing fatalities. But how far can technology really help?
Object above!
Six cameras on one machine watching my every move.
At this 3 meter distance away from the machineries, it will trigger an alert, say, keep a safe distance at 3 meters. All right? As we walk toward the second 2 meter distance, it will say caution, keep a safe distance, caution, keep a safe distance. And then if you walk nearest to this machine, it will say danger, keep away, danger, keep away.
Francis Ang is project director at Tseng Keng, a company that employs more than 200 workers. He's the man who put in place some of the high-tech solutions at this construction site.
So we have 6 AI cameras with sensors around these machines.
Oh, okay.
How this system works is by assisting the operators to detect human and blind spot areas. Is to prevent workers standing at this blind spot area being hit by the moving machinery.
Vehicular accidents was another leading cause of fatality in the first half of 2022.
Okay, let me show you, we have another risk technology for assisted lift. And this is it.
Can I try this?
Sure. If I'm the operators, when I'm operating the machines, and then suddenly I realize that there's an object above, I will take it back and I will try to prevent from hit by the object above. And with that actions, the sensors will automatically cut off the machines. This system is actually to prevent entrapment, prevent workers from being hit by object above. Object above!
Wow, that was pretty fast. The whole forklift just stopped. Now it'll bring me down. Ooh. Thank you. Francis,
yes, please.
Both these technologies that you've shown me are incredible and so useful in preventing workplace accidents and fatalities. How common is the use of these technologies in construction sites?
Not really, because the cost of this technology is still very expensive.
How expensive are these two pieces of equipment?
This scissor lift is rental equipment, so it comes together with the AI. We pay a few $100 per month just to maintain it, and to add on the AI is another 50% top up. And for my telescopic handlers, the cost of these AI systems is around a few $1,000s per telescopic handlers. Although we have productivity solution grants, right, but it's still not affordable to many contractors.
There are many layers involved in a construction project. It starts off with developers putting up their projects for tender. Contractors then submit their tender contracts, complete with quotations to vie for a spot as the main contractor. Main contractors, like Francis's company, can choose to allocate certain tasks like electrical wiring and plumbing to subcontractors.
When it comes to safety in a project, who actually pays for it?
For main contractors like us, we will pay most of the safety measures items.
And what's the budget for safety in any given project?
Take this project as instance, right? We budgeted 1.5% of the overall tender sums. For SMEs to hit 1.5% of the total sum, I think it's not possible for them.
If they can't do that, what then?
Why not the public sectors and big developers? Let's support and believe that this risk technology can help. If they can help to share the cost for this adoption of risk technology, it will be very much helpful. So as time goes by, there will be many contractors already adopt these risk technologies capabilities. Yep. And by then, the cost of these technologies will be dropping down. And if that happens, seriously, I think the smaller contractors will have the opportunity to use these technologies.
Most fatalities this year occurred in small and medium enterprises that employ less than 200 workers. When a foreign worker dies, employers must file for claims under the Workplace Injury Compensation Act, or WICA, under which all workers are insured. If the accident is found to be workplace-related, the insurer has to offer compensation, but any payout could take months to be finalized.
হ্যালো আসসালামু আলাইকুম জি আসলে আপনার ডিটেইলসগুলো আমরা আলহামদুলিল্লাহ সব পেয়ে গিয়েছি কিন্তু আপনার যে ব্যাংকে যে সুইফট কোড নাম্বারটা ওটা একটু ভুল আছে
So you got the marriage cert?
Yes, I already get it. Only the bank swift code number is still wrong. So I advise the NOK to send us the details from the bank office in English version.
If we don't have that, we can't make the payment.
Yeah, yes, correct.
The Migrant Workers Center is a non-government organization which provides interim financial support to families of deceased workers before they get an insurance payout.
What was the longest processing time that you've experienced in terms of WICA compensation for a worker?
Typically, it takes about 3 to 6 months, but claims could go up to a year because sometimes there is a contention between the parties.
So what are some of these conflicts that can arise that can delay the claim process?
Maybe the insurer, maybe the employer feels that the compensation amount is too high, or there is contention on the actual cause of death or injury.
And who ultimately decides how much
money goes to a deceased worker's family?
So if there is a contention, there is actually a weaker court. The manpower authorities will then adjudicate over the contentions.
When it comes to work injury compensation for fatalities, how much does that usually amount to?
It's actually 225,000 Singapore dollars, but I've not yet experienced someone receiving maximum payout. From all the cases that we respond to and we assist, typically workers are awarded in the region of 170,000 to 190,000.
Bernard, so overall, do you feel that all the compensation given to these workers' families is adequate?
The compensation, if you look at where these workers are from, is actually a very, very large amount. However, how do you compensate someone for having lost a loved one? So, I think it's very difficult to answer.
In this episode, I focused on fatalities. But there are so many more victims. In the past year alone, there were over 22,000 instances of workers getting injured on the job. That's about 60 cases a day. It's no doubt that safety measures come at a cost of time and money. But I feel that top management needs to strike a balance because no life is ever worth the compromise.